Hey, go the volume down. Hello, everyone. I'm going to try to do a live again about the Artie brushes. And I thought I would do like a little bit of a comparison of the brushes that I like to use. So I just have a piece of paper here, and I thought I would do like a little bit of like painting them with the Artie brushes, so you can see like the difference in what they, the brush types that they make. So let me put some gloves on here really quick. So I think the biggest questions that I've had so far is like what the difference between the Artie gels and the original 3 Magpie brushes. So the original 3 Magpie brushes are I don't need 2 detailers. So the detailer, the illustrator, and the striper are the original 3 Magpie brushes. So you have like this small guy right here. This is the detailer. This is everybody's tried and true favorite brush. And then you have the illustrator, which is kind of just like a rounded, more of like a petally brush. I like to use this one for filling in work when I'm doing nail art, but I ultimately like to use the illustrator for like dabbing in like flakes. It's great for that because you can just dunk it in, pick up a few flakes, and then put it on your nail. And then, of course, just the striper. So those are the original 3. Now, the original 3 do come in a 3-pack that you can buy, and they come with the lids as well. If you're buying a one of these brushes, especially the detailer and the striper, I do recommend a lid. These are sold separately as well, so if you ever lose one or whatever, you can grab one of those. But it's great so you can have protection on your brushes. And when you're storing your brushes, if you store them upside down, it will help the life of them stay longer. So I'll show you really quick what the 3 brushes do. So then we can compare like the Artie brushes to them as well. I can't get gloves on. All right, let me zoom in a little bit on this paper here. Okay, so I'm just going to use a little bit of Artie gel here, and we'll start with the detailer brush. Now, I use the detailer for everything. Let me put some black on a palette really quick, just so I don't have to keep grabbing it out. So I use the detailer for the majority of everything in my nail art, but I'm trying to be better about using different brushes for different things. What is the life expectancy on the brushes? So that is going to depend on how you treat your brushes. Now, I'll be honest, I'm pretty hard on brushes because, well, you know, that's just who I am. But you could probably get, I know some nail techs that have had their detailer brush, which is the smaller brush, for years. So it really depends on how you treat your brush. Now, when you are cleaning your brushes, the biggest thing that I can recommend to you is not to use acetone or alcohol or any type of like harsh chemical on the bristles, because it will start to break them down, and that's where you see like the flaring. So the way to clean them, I'll show you really quick after I do this, how you can clean a brush and then how you can store it. So the detailer is the finest of all of the land. So it's great for like line work, and honestly, it just creates like the finest details. So you can see that like that's just a very fine line. Now, of course, you can load up your brush and do like thicker lines with it too. So this brush, once you start using it, you find that it's kind of a multi-purpose brush. Draw my name. No, Paul, I don't want to Paul. We could do your name with, okay, we can do your name, Paul. So when you're doing just nail art with your clients, what you can do is just grab a lint-free wipe without any alcohol or acetone or anything on it. You can just swipe all of the paint out, and that will the majority of clean out your brush for you. But if you want to clean out your brush like thoroughly, what I like to do is grab a little bit of a clear top coat, base coat, and just run your brush through that, and that'll clear the pigment out of your brush. So this is me doing Paul's name. Now Paul is my buddy, and doing letters with nail art products is not always the easiest, especially when you're doing it on paper, which it is not meant to do. But you can see that you can get like very small details with this detailer brush. And then you can always go back in and add those thicker lines. So anyway, this is my tried and true brush. It's what I grab for the most. I also like to use it for going around the cuticle so that I don't flood my cuticle area. So I love to use it for that. And it doesn't pick up, you don't have to pick up a ton of product to do that. So there we are. There's your name, Paul. So again, an easy way to just clear out the color in your brush, just take a clean lint-free wipe and just swipe it out. And then you would just cap that, and then you can just store it and store it upside down. And then as far as the Illustrator, so this one is good, again, for like doing, you can use it for petals, you could use it for like a heart. But it's that fatter brush. See? But it just creates like a little bit of a wider stroke. So if you're just doing stroke work, there's that one. So that's the Illustrator. And then let's do the striper really quick. Now, the striper for me, in my opinion, I just don't love this striper. I typically use a different striper, but I have found that this one really does work good too. I've just gotten used to the one that I use. And it's great if you're a striper girl, if you like a longer bristle. I just personally don't like the tip of the brush. I feel like I can't get it fine enough for the fine lines that I like to do. And when I'm doing line work, striker, no striping. So when I'm doing line work, what I like to do with my gel paint is drag my brush all the way through so that my bristles get full, and then you can pull a line. Now, it's really hard to do this on paper. I didn't know that it wasn't going to be great on paper, but you get the gist of it. So, obviously, your striper is going to be for that long line work. So, yeah, it is a great brush. So, the original 3 are really great to have as just like starter brushes. If you're new in the industry, these are great to start with. So, that's the original 3 there. And then Magpie came out with premium detailers. Now this is the 6, 9, and 11. And these are just a little... Sorry, is it still going? It said my connection was poor. Anyway, so these come with a lid, and they are premium detailers. Now, I don't personally use these because I always grab for my detailer. So again, I'm trying to branch out. So let's see. So the 6 is going to be the smallest, and then you have the 9, and oh great, I'm glad you guys can hear me. Okay, so there's the 6, the 9, and the 11. So it's just the size in the bristles on these guys. So the 6 is the smallest, the 9 is the middle guy, and the 11 is the longest. And these are great for all sorts of nail art. So it just comes down to preference and what you like to use for your nail art. So this one's going to be good for, you know, those fine line details, but you can see that it's just a little bit thicker of a line when you put it down because it has more bristles. So compared to the Detailer original, hopefully you can see that, like, this is a 1-haired brush and this is a 3-hair brush. So it is going to be a thicker line. You can still get it thin. And what I like to do when I'm doing thin line work is the thinner you want it, the more on the tip you want. I used to have a saying, and I can't remember what it is. But pointier line, use the tip. Is that right? So see how you can still get a thin line with this brush? You're just going to want to use the tip of that brush instead of doing the belly of your brush. See the difference in the lines there? So that's the 6. And then the 9 and the 11 are going to be similar, but just a little bit different in the length. So the 9 is going to be, if you like a striper, but you like a detailer, a 9mm is like the in-betweener. So again, it's just like a striper. And you can get it thin just by using the tip of your brush. I know some people really do love these brushes. I just haven't ever used them very much. They're great brushes though. And then the 11 will do the same as the 6 and the 6 and the 9. So that's the second collection that Magpie has. And then we have the new Arty gels, which these all come in a collection. Or you can buy them separately. All the brushes are sold separately too. So if you just need something new. Yeah. So these are the whole collection here. I don't have the watercolor one here, but I personally am not a watercolor girl on nails. So I don't have a review on that. Oh. Okay, so let's talk about the Gel 6 really quick. Now, this is a gel brush, and I have been using it for my hard gel applications over the last 2 weeks, and it has been such a great brush. I love the bounciness of the bristles. I keep saying Brussels, it's a bristle. But I like the bounciness of the bristles, and when you're doing your scrub layer of your builder gel, it's great for that because it's like flexible. So see like how bouncy it is? I personally really like that. So it's great to do that scrubbing layer and then great to do your building layer too. So that's the Gel Brush 6. And it's great. So again, the way you want to clean your brushes when you're doing your gel brush is if you leave your bristles a little bit wet when you're storing them, it will, like when you go to pick it up again, it'll just be ready to go. So if you just leave a little bit of the gel in there and then just be careful and don't snag it with your lid like I did earlier, and then you just store it upside down, and that will keep all of your gel at the bottom of your brush, and it will keep it like nice and bouncy. You can clean it all out, but you might notice that your brush gets a little crusty. Try leaving just a little bit more gel in it before you put it away. So, okay, now as far as the Arty gel brushes, there is the Illustrate 2, the 6 detail 6, 12, and there's a 9 as well. And then there's an illustrate 1. So detail 6, 9, and 12, and then illustrate 1 and 2. So let's do the illustrators first. So the illustrators are going to be similar to, well, illustrator 1 will be similar to the original illustrator, but I actually like the bristles on this guy just a little bit better. And then the illustrator 2 is a chunky guy. This one's going to be great for like doing thick line work, or you could do filling in line work, all the good things with that brush. So I like the black bristles too, because most of the time not most of the time, a lot of the time you're doing like your, dark colors, and it doesn't stain your bristles. So I actually really like the black bristles. So let me just show you a little bit of this guy. So this is the illustrator 1, and it's going to have that same roundness to it. So you could do, a little cute little flower. So that's kind of fun. So it's a good size to like create that petals, and you can also kind of like smush it to a point, and then you could actually use this for shading too, which that's a whole nother lesson of things, but you could use that for your shading in your design too. So I actually am really interested in using the illustrate 1. I keep getting them mixed up. So that's the illustrator 1. And then the illustrator 2, again, is just going to be kind of that chunky, like line work. And I like the way that they like bounce. So it has like good bounce to it. See how it's like bouncy? I don't know if bouncy makes sense to anybody who, does, artwork, but I like a bounce to the brush. But you can see that like just dragging this through, it'll pick up quite a bit of product. And then you can just lay that down in a thick line. So if you need a thick line brush, this is a great one. So again, just wiping that out. And then let's do the detailers really quick. So there is a detail 6, a 9, and a 12. And I think the most asked question that I've got so far is the difference between the detail 6 and the original detailer. So this is the original detailer here. Nope, that's the striper. Here's the original detailer on the left, and here is the detail 6 on the right. So again, the detailer is like a one-haired brush, and the detail 6 is going to be like a 6-haired brush. I do like the detail 6 because if you're trying to do like line work that you have to fill in, let's say those like swooshy lines that are kind of trendy, to do that with your original detailer is going to take you a lot longer than if you were to grab your detail 6. If you're somebody who likes that shorter bristle, this one's great to have in your arsenal because it will create that thicker line. And then kind of the same thing with the detail 9 and the 12. The 9 is just a step up from this size. It's the in-between size, obviously. But the detail 12, I think, has been my favorite so far, as in a different brush that I don't already have. So I like the thinness of it, and I think compared to the original striper, it's about the same length. But can you see how the detail 12 has a pointier point to it? So that's going to allow to create a like finer line where the striper has more of like a flat, blunt edge. So can you see that? Hopefully that's focusing and so you can see the difference there. But that's why I like this guy just a little bit better, because it has that fine point to it. So let me show you the 3 detailers really quick and the lines that they can make. Put a little bit of black here. I'm out of black because I'm heavy-handed and pick up way too much. Okay. So this is the detail 6, and we'll compare it to this guy up here, which is the original detailer. So that's me on the side. Let me see if I can get it a little bit thinner here. So you can still get it really thin, again, using the tip of your brush. But I think that I like the original detailer better because I don't have to think about being as precise with it as far as being on the tip, if that makes sense. But I love that I can create like a thicker line without going in like 5 different times like with the original detailer. To get this thicker line, I have to go over it a couple times, you know, so I like that I can flare this out and it will create that thicker line. So I actually really do like the detail 6. It's just a good addition to your original detailer. So I'm just gonna cap that guy. And then let's see, we've got the detail 9 here. I'm gonna pick up some product here and we'll just do a line down here. So I really love the 9 and the 12 for that pointed tip option. And I actually like that this is a little bit, it's still a striper. So if you're striping on a short nail, it will, you know, you don't really necessarily need a full length striper. So having a 9 in your arsenal is great too. I think as a nail artist, you start to learn what works best for you in the salon, and you find your preference in what size of brush you like. And I think that's why it's nice to have different options as far as like the Magpie brushes go, because you have a 9 or you have a 6, but then you have a tinier 6. So it's good options to have different buddies. Okay, and then finally, this is the detail 12. This is the one that I really have been loving lately, and I have basically no product left here. So again, because this is such a thin brush, you're going to be able to get like such a thin line, and that really pointed tip is going to help you create that. Like that's almost thinner than the detailer. But I have very little product on my brush too, so let's see if I actually pick up enough product here, if I can still get it that thin. So when you're doing line work, I think there's a lot to be said on line work, but less product, the point of your tip, you can get this thin of a line. And very light pressure on your brush too will help. So if you want to do a thicker line, lay down the bristles and add more pressure. But see how that just creates like very effortless lines? This is a good brush. I think this one unexpectedly is my favorite so far. So if you want like that thick brush, or that thick stroke, you need to use the whole belly. So anyway, They're very versatile in all of the collections here. I think really what it comes down to in your art brushes is preference. I have heard that if you are a little bit shaky in your nail art, or let's just say you're having a moment where it's just a little bit like, ooh. If you use a brush that has a longer bristle on it, it's going to absorb the shake in your hand. So let's see if that's true. And I'm going to pretend that I'm really shaky. I don't even know if I can pretend. But like I'm trying to shake and like, yes, you're still going to get it, but it's going to absorb some of that. So if you are somebody who struggles with like shaking of the hands, or you just have too much caffeine that day, having a long brush that you get used to using is great to have as well. Let me see if I can do that with the detailer. Let's see if I pretend to shake, if that will still be like as. So see how much more my detailer is picking up my shake. Hi Sam, how are ya? So it's not absorbing as much of my shake with a shorter bristle. So that's a little tip. I am a firm believer that when you're doing nail art, you need a fulcrum. So if you are somebody that is struggling with shaking all the time, like plant your finger. Like I feel like I press so hard with my pinky into my client's hand that I'm like, ooh, am I hurting you? So like have that fulcrum when I'm doing my nails. I even hold my fulcrum. And like, anyway, that's all the stuff on nail art. But the Artie brushes are awesome. I have been loving, so far, my favorite has been the Gel Brush 6 and the Detailer 12. But I haven't used a whole bunch of these yet. I feel like I need the full collection at my house because that's where I do a lot of my nail art tutorials and things like that. And so that's where I get a lot of play with my brushes. And I think that's how I've gotten comfortable with my brushes. People are always like, what are your tips in doing nail art? And sitting down and actually playing with your products that you have gets you more comfortable in the salon. And I think that's a good place to be with your nail art brushes too. So if you're new to using a Detailer 12, which is a longer bristle, try just sitting down and doing stripes, or, doing petal works with your illustrators. So practice, play with them, and then you find out what you love, and then you put them in your salon, and then you just get better and better at using them. So all of these brushes are, again, available separately. So if there's one that's caught your eye, you can buy them separately, or you can buy them in a collection. The only ones that don't come in a collection right now are the premium ones. But you can buy the Artie gel brushes in a collection. You can buy the original 3 in a collection. Again, if you are a starter to nail art, these are really great. But anyway, anybody have any questions on brushes or anything else? I think my brain is getting tired for the night. I did 2 sets of nails tonight. And then I was like, I need to do my live. Also, Artie gels. I love them. Oh, and there's a surprise sale tomorrow with Magpie, if you saw it on my stories earlier. So you can shop on the app, you can shop on the website for 10% off of the website as a whole. And then if you want to stack my code on top of that, which my code is Sheridan10, you can get 20% off of your whole order. And then I promise to ship it to you with love. and we're going to work as fast as we can to get through all of the orders. So hopefully you can have your new arty brushes to play with over the weekend, and then you can go into the salon and do incredible nail art, because I know you can do it, right? Right? Well, thanks, Sam. Sam, are you getting new brushes? Sam, sometimes I don't even feel like I'm an educator. I just talk about the things that I love. But anyway, this is the first time I've cleaned off this palette in months. Sam, I want it all too. Working at the warehouse, there's things that come in that I'm like, oh, I need all of that. I really do. So anyway, if you guys have any questions on Magpie products, or if you just need a buddy or whatever, shoot me a DM, shoot me a message. We'll be buds. So anyway, thanks for joining me. Hope you guys have the best night. Bye.